Hey there YouTube, welcome back to another black powder update. My continuing project of the doing the second Netherlands. This week we have, or rather last week, I was ploughing my way through my very last unit of the 1st Brigade, and that was these chaps here. So basically with the end of the finish of these chaps, which was slightly delayed by the fact that I was basically waiting for the flag to come. Basically, the last time I put an order in with Elite Miniatures, I ordered what I thought was the remainder of the flags I needed, but I actually messed up a little and was a pack short. But anyway, I basically was waiting for those flags to come in, and I know that the guy has been basically put like 2 weeks back on all of his sort of outstanding orders, so I knew it was going to be sort of like a minimum of sort of 4-ish weeks before my order could possibly come. Could possibly have even been a little longer. Anyway, the gods have smiled, and literally as I was basing them this morning, I mean theoretically I could have finished them all yesterday, but I thought, well, the flag's not here, I'm not going to do a video with them without the flag, so I might as well just, you know, tomorrow, I'll wait until tomorrow, I'll do the basing, the flocking, and finish them off, and do all that tomorrow, and then I'll just put them aside and wait for the flags to come, because I'm sure, you know, I'm sure it won't be much longer, at the very latest, sort of next week, you know. Luckily though, like I say, literally I was literally just sticking the last, sort of like the first round of sort of basing them, so I was sticking like, I think I was sticking like maybe the 3rd or 4th unit to their base, and the postman came round the gatepost, and I saw that he had a very suspiciously looking Elite Miniatures sized box, and alas, actually was my Elite Miniatures order, which was actually some Nassau, and a whole bunch of flags. So alas, these guys, I was able to finish them today and do the video only sort of like a day late, really. So let's get into them. Let's get going. So these guys are the 8th Dutch Militia. They are commanded by a Lieutenant Colonel W.A. de Jong, and they numbered 566 troops. And let's give you a closer look at them. So the make of these guys is Elite Miniatures, and they are again adorned with a few, not quite so many this time, some parries mixed in. Actually thinking about it, there is about the same number, but they're just in slightly different positions. So let's get going. So we'll start off with the usual, the flankers, or the first company of flankers. So these are like I say, the Elite Miniatures Dutch Militia. Again, you know, like I always say with Elite Miniatures, they're one of those sort of like Marmite type figures. You either love them or you hate them. I actually really like them. I've actually put already a hell of a lot of Elite Miniatures into this project, and something that I decided to do this time, the actual figures themselves, they're a nice sort of mixture. And the thing that I noticed was that some of them have got like British style backpacks. Now I was always sort of under the impression that they maintained their French packs, but I did read somewhere that they, you know, the British basically gave them full equipment, so they did have British backpacks in their stores. So I thought, well, perhaps this unit, obviously not historically, but perhaps this unit was one of those that was, you know, maybe freshly raised, or you know, their backpacks were too damaged or too threadbare, so some of them were issued the British backpacks in the brown leather rather than the sort of the standard black. And I thought, well, just to make them a bit different, how about if I put some like you know, some guys with some like recognition cloth sort of tucked under the strapping, a bit like the sort of Hanoverians with their yellow, and I thought, well, so basically that's what I did to sort of a fair few of the guys with the British backpacks. And I thought, well, you know, it's an easy way of them not being, you know, being identified quickly with the old orange, you know, piece of orange cloth or something, just tucked into their backpacks, and yeah, I think it looked pretty cool. So like I say, they don't have flanker figures per se. Again, with these chaps, a bit like Perry's. So I just basically did the sort of the other way of distinguishing them, which is basically just giving them orange epaulets and a design on their pom-pom. In this case, a little bit of orange on the lower half. Just to make a little bit of difference from the other two militia units. So that is the first company of flankers. There's nothing super special about them, and just basically just bog standard troops. They're basically all in British gear, especially the ones that have got British backpacks too. Then we'll go on to the next, the centre company, rear centre company. Again, we have actually got some pretty similar looking chaps. I actually quite like these. This advancing position, it's not too base hindering as I would say. This effect where you get these chaps that have bayonets sticking out at particular angles can sometimes interfere with how you put troops onto the base, and also interfere with the stands that are either in front or behind. But these guys seem to have their muskets at a high angle. And of course the other thing that I noticed with these boys is these guys have got British muskets, as opposed to most of the other miniatures. I think actually all the other miniatures actually that have all had the French versions. So this could be like I say, maybe these guys are meant to be like freshly raised or whatever. But yeah, just a nice little bit of difference really. So that's the fourth company. On to the second company of flankers. So again, we've got a nice little mixture of the positions. There's 3 or 4 positions, I think, in this particular box set of Elite. Again, it was brought as a battalion box. You can see that there's also guys with French backpacks as well. So it just sort of helps with the illusion of that particular story, that maybe these guys were not just freshly raised, but also actually equipped with some of the British equipment. And again, I've put a couple of, one guy in this case with the orange recognition cloth, and this chap just with a normal brown backpack. I was actually sort of trying to find, hunting the internet to try and find details to see if I could actually find evidence of them actually wearing British backpacks, and to tell the truth, I couldn't actually come up with much at all. But again, on that hand, I do know that they were definitely the British equipped them with everything, including backpacks. So I'm sure it's not an impossibility that some units were ended up with British backpacks. So here we have again 3 elite guys and the classic Perry's drummer. Again, I've decided to stick with this blue and white stripe design, even though I actually read that that design is wrong, and it should in fact be the white, red and black triangles. But what I decided to do, basically, theoretically I could have went back and repainted them all, but I thought, well no, I'll use this design for the second Netherlands, and the third Netherlands can have that design, just to help identify them on the battlefield. So this is the musician stand. Then we'll go for the NCO stand, or what's normally the NCO stand. Again, this time I have an officer, junior officer on this one, a real junior officer, maybe freshly commissioned lieutenant or lieutenant. And he really does look quite youthful, this guy. He's probably maybe, could be as young as below 20. 3 chaps with him. And I decided to actually, I was going to have this guy on the command base, but I decided to swap them over last minute. So I decided to put this chap on the secondary, or on the NCO stand, which is normally the NCO stand. So that is the what's normally the NCO stand. And finally the command stand. Again, we have a mounted colonel. it's like I said, you know, I quite like this effect, and like I said a couple of videos ago, that I'm kind of sort of set on the idea now. So it's kind of difficult to try and, I think I've mentioned it before, with a French style of units, when they have the majors in command, or the chef de battalions, they can have their colonel as a single mounted figure, and all their basically all their regiment, all the battalions are commanded by lower ranks. But these sort of the Allied formations that tend to have, well, in the Dutch case, it seems to be more of a lieutenant colonel. But you know, it's very hard to sort of have a single horsed figure, especially when a lot of the command figures don't really cater for colonels. They all seem to have the sort of the single epaulette, which is kind of really only up to captain. Now, theoretically, I could add an epaulette, which is something that I have done in the past on a lot of French guys. And I do actually have a spare on foot colonel figure, which I think came in the front rank pack. Now, this guy does actually have the two epaulettes, so he could be used as a colonel. However, like I said, if I've got mounted colonels to use, then I'm going to use them basically. So here we have the elite colonel that came in the battalion box, and we also have the elite flag bearer. We have the we have the elite miniatures variant of the militia flag, and we have the secondary officer, the captain, or the slightly more junior rank officers at the back. And I decided to use this guy. I was like I say, I was originally going to use this guy on the sergeant stand, but I decided not to, because I thought, well, the colonel hasn't got a sword out, so in that case, I think I'll have the secondary officer not have his sword out either. But he's kind of looks as if he's sort of reaching over to grab hold of it, which is why I decided to put the chap with the drawn sword onto the alternate stand. But I think, yeah, quite like. First of all, I wasn't too happy with the way that sort of the flag sat. It's kind of sat at quite a funny angle, and it's kind of almost sort of blowing into the junior officer's face. But at the same time, I kind of like the way it sort of turned out in the end. I think it's got a really nice sort of wave to it, which is something a little bit unique. I don't think any of my flags have ever had that sort of weird, sort of half wave on it. I think it looks really cool. So I decided to keep it as it was. So that's the command base, and I'm pretty happy with it. And yeah, usual basing method. DAS clay. On basically put in between the figures and sort of you know, squash down with a tool. You find that DAS clay doesn't like adhering to MDF bases that much, which is why you need the tool to sort of basically push it down onto the base to get it to adhere. And it takes maybe sort of 10-15 minutes to sort of do a base sometimes, which is a little bit slow, but the result is definitely very cool. You get this sort of nice uneven but flat ground, which covers up the bases, and I think it looks really cool. So yeah, that's the end of this video. Big thank you to another couple of subscribers. They seem to be crawling out of the woodwork again every now and then. Just when I thought my channel was dead in the water again. And of course, big thank you to everyone else who takes their time to watch my useless blathering. And yeah, like I say, next part is to, in fact I've actually got them already based and ready to go. We'll start on the 2nd Brigade, which of course is all made up of Nassau. So I'm quite looking forward to that. This is actually a front rank Nassau figure. And I've actually already I put a big order in today to Perry's and to front rank. And I should have all the figures in to be able to do the whole brigade in hand, hopefully, bar a couple of weeks for it all to arrive. So yeah, that's basically going to be the 2nd Netherlands all in hand apart from a couple of flag packs which I sort of miscalculated. So yeah, that's the end. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye bye.